Peace and blessings, family.
Yo, yo, yo. We back. I'm just being honest. Connecting with the Black experience is the most disliked popular guy. Back in Facebook jail again.
Oh,
30 more plus days. I know the haters are excited, but are upset at the same time. It's your guy, Barry Axius. And of course, the effervescent, the extravagante, the glorious, the sensei, the beautiful, Earth Mama Network's own. What are we doing? Sister Row now? You don't switch from Sister Row to Mama Row?
For sisters, so I had to. That's all right.
Okay. All right. So I'm you still Mama Row. So
yeah, I'm still Mama Row.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Mama Row. What's good? Yeah, Queen. They got me.
Why are you in Facebook jail? Wait. What?
I'm in Facebook jail because of the same subject we're going to talk about, accountability and responsibility. I will be accountable for the things that I said and I've done, but I will not be responsible for people that disrespect or people that continue to steal ideas that I have or ideas I've created with colleagues. And what happened was a sister, stole some idea from me and my team, Black Friday Coalition. Shouts out to Dana and Ish. As y'all know, we have our Black Friday event coming November. What is that? November, let me see. I want to say November 27th and 28th, our Black Friday event we've done for the last 4 years. Sister basically took our idea and basically said that the idea that we have is an idea I stole from her because it was in our mind. Sister's totally warped out, right? I put a little message out there, didn't call her out, just said hopefully the sister will do the right thing, because we had already approached her a year and a half before and said, hey, sister, you can't do that. She backed away. COVID comes. It's a new day. Everybody crazy. She did it again. And after that, she put this big subliminal message out on me. I took it. Actually, it wasn't subliminal. She said my name, but she made sure she miscorrectly spelled my last name. I put it out, and I just basically said some things. I never was threatening. I just would say, well, this is what we do as Black people. We don't take accountability. We don't take responsibility. I didn't steal your stuff. I was just basically discrediting her lies. And of course, a few hours later, they threw me in jail for bullying. And that's what I am in for another. I get out October 31st. So,
Man, how do we put money on your books?
Oh, man, you got to talk to Zuckerberg, and you got to talk to your sisters. I mean, this is as you like to call it. This is what you like to call black on black social media crime, right? Because she done sat there and basically told them that pretty much I'm bullying her, which I wasn't. Nothing I said was threatening. Nothing I said or did. It's just so crazy how folks can go on racist rants, and they can still have a page. You speak truth, or you tell the reality of what the situation is. You constantly are being put in jail, and it doesn't give us no freedom of speech. We have no freedoms. You know what I mean? I can't say what I want to say. I'm hoping that one day we can figure out how we can have a class, a civil lawsuit against Facebook, because they're definitely, really violating our freedom of speech. Because at the first particular time, they said I was banned for 31 days, and they didn't have any information for me. I was like, well, what did I say? Like, what did I say? So I can know, okay, don't say this, don't say that. I just finally eventually saw they said I was threatening and I was bullying. So I had to be like, well, that was probably her calling in or some other hater calling in. But it's like this for me. For those who's watching and for those who's on my social media, because a lot of folks look at my stuff, they may not say stuff or they say stuff on other people's pages or other pages to discredit me. Leave me the hell alone. Like, if you don't like my views, if you don't like what I say, you don't need to go make public posts about me. You don't need to go ahead and tell the people about me. All you have to do is just block me. Or I'll do one better. As soon as I get out, I'm going to block you because I get tired of folks that want to talk, act crazy, and then when I meet them and match their energy, and I'm not being violent, but I match the energy that they ask for, I am the one that has to deal with the consequences. So the unfortunate part about it, got a lot of powerful events coming up. Did a great event in Marin with my people out there. We're doing the Trap the Vote event here, 2251 Florin Road, the Trap the Vote Black Party, galvanizing the vote. We're going to have some speakers. We're going to have music. We're going to have free giveaways. Also as well, I'm helping a few entrepreneurs. I'm buying their booths, saying, hey, come out, support. So October 17th, this Saturday, 2251, not only are we going to trap the vote and get galvanized to get ready for November 3rd, but we also are going to vote and build. As you and I both know, it's not just about voting, it's about building our economic base. And that is one of the most essential and most important things that I think get lost into this idea of voting. But again, this is what talks about accountability, responsibility. It's our responsibility, I believe, to make sure that we tell folks and direct them on how we do it. We just don't only vote. We also go ahead and build, because a lot of that voting shit is not really going to sink in the way it needs to and change things that we can change ourselves. And that becomes us being responsible.
So Barry, let me ask you this. Definitely been more shootings in Sacramento. I'm talking about in our community. I'm not talking about other people.
Yeah.
What's going on with it? What has the response been?
You know what's this? I think that this is the one thing that I want to say. 100%, any Black community that was halfway struggling, full struggling, across the country, first of all, shootings have gone up 100%. These are actual stats that they've put out, right? In the Black community, the number is probably doubled 200% of shootings. I think with the violence, when you look at it over here, a lot of it has to deal with not the simple fact that prevention wasn't available, because as folks should know, if you don't know, here in Sacramento, we had 0 youth homicides in the city of Sacramento for 2 years. That speaks for the work that you do. It speaks for the work that I do. It speaks for a culmination of organizations, individuals that have done the hard lifting and building of our young people, because it has to take us dealing with the young people are in total distress, as well as the young people that can enter that distress, but are kind of waiting on the sidelines. So for 2 years, we had 0 youth homicides. Now COVID happens in 2020. If you already have pre-existing conditions of a community that, for the most part, have used service providers to provide a service what disconnects young people from certain activities that they would get involved with, when you and I can't open our office, when you and I can't open up a community center, when you and I can't have big gatherings, when you and I don't have the opportunity to employ young people, that we did figure out a way to employ young people in the summertime, but to a capacity that we've done before, things are going to happen. An idle mind is a devil's playground. So everything that the kids got stripped of, we're talking about youth activities, from sports to certain mentorship, from places that they felt safe at outside of their own neighborhoods. And I feel like this idea of surviving has kind of, I think, embodied what we're dealing with right now across the country, because Sacramento is not the only place. Fresno, just this month, they've had 4 women killed. 4 women killed Like it's been going crazy in all these places. So I really believe that when we talk about investment, this is why we fight for the investments that we get. And you and I both know we don't get marginally enough money that we need. That's why we yell defund the police, because we're saying, well, in these preventive measures, give it to the organization so we can be able to run programs in these places and facilitate them so folks are not in distress the way they are. I look at it as the COVID, lack of activity, lack of parental guidance, the vulnerability to all things that create influence like social media, music videos, the access to that more than the access to people like you and me on the ground, because we've had a shelter in place, we've had a social distance, we've had to put our mask on. I feel like these are the things. I will never say it's not the people doing work, because you could not sit there and say that. So if it was the people that are not showing up, well, then how the hell did we have 0 homicides in 2 years? Because if it, you know what I'm saying? It's a simple fact that there's a restraint. And you really look at how some of our young people and those people in the community that are around our young people, how ineffective they really are. And that's scary to me, because there are young people that are living in households that are probably totally dysfunctional, that the young people are probably more of the adult than the adult. And there are influences in the communities our young people are involved with that all day long, they're telling the young person how to create that get quick rich scheme, where you hear about the EDD scams, you hear about the SBA loans. You know, you got that. And I don't think that when you have folks like us that have to be in different places and we have to fight to say, hey, we need an investment to come support our kids. We don't have facilities because they're all closing. They're not owned or run by us, because you know us, we've been open our doors. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, mask up, let's get it. You don't have enough of that happening, it's going to create the end result. So really, I think that folks got to look at how are we going to invest in people like ourselves being a part of the public safety conversation, and not just having us be a part of the conversation where every 3 years when contracts come, we decide to cut another program because it's met its reach.
Right on. No, a ditto to everything you said. I think one of the things that I'm concerned with, though, because I'll be honest with you, I work with young people, particularly young girls and women, around just their safety, their wellness. And even though we had 0 homicides, we have probably way more assaults. So it means that people didn't kill you. They just terrorize you, beat you up, molest you, rape you, have you locked in the basement, you missing, you home on the stroll. All those things have gone up. But I wonder, for those kids who are participating in that activity, how do we reach those kids? That's what I'm somewhat concerned with. How do we reach those kids? I think when we look at those last homicides, I was talking to someone, and I guess one young man that was killed, she was like, yeah, but he had been doing dirt. Like, I don't really give a damn about him. Like, but how do we reach him? Who really goes and talks to these different gang sets of people in our community? Because I just don't want to lump all the young people together. I'm concerned about the young people who don't get in trouble, who can't get no help because there ain't nothing wrong with them. Because you don't have any poverty going on, you don't have no issues going on, but that don't mean you're not struggling. So it's all of these other pockets of areas. I think sometimes we kind of leave out in our rush to help people who are poor, which poor people need help. But I think poor people don't come under one ideal. Like all poor people are not gangbangers. All poor people are not trifling and just collecting welfare. All poor people ain't begging to be a part of somebody's organization. Like, I'm so fucked up. Why can't we help people who just need a little bit of guidance, or who may be looking for a job? I don't want them to have to go prostitute. I don't want them to go belong to a gang because maybe they don't feel like they have family, or they feel like they're not loved. I often wonder, how do we reach those kids who are deep in the shit? That's one thing. That's a special skill set. And then how do we reach the kids who are not as visible, but who struggle? Because depression for young people, mental health for young people is major, and it don't show up like I'm gonna go kill my whole block up. Sometimes it just shows up in and you doing nothing. Like, you can't even motivate your damn self. You're watching reality TV shows all day long because you just feel just like, you you feel so bad about yourself. And so I know we talk a lot about mental health and wellness, but it's kind of like, how do we somehow speak to that in our community? Because that's major.
I think that, to be honest with you, sis, I really believe that folks are working with those young people we consider like the shooters or whatever, those young people that are in the midst. Throughout this whole moment, I found out, just like you, hearing about a lot of these young people, right? The picture of these young people and some of the conversation about these young people from family and friends was one of, damn, this was a good kid, wasn't into the nothing. But when we go deep dive, because, you know, you and I, we put our scuba gear on, we like to deep dive, you find out another story. They was into shit. They were setup artists. They was getting groomed to be that next kid, right? So reality is, again, the things that you and I have done just for this summertime, and I'm just going to use us as an example, not saying that there have been a lot of great people doing a lot of great work within the summer containing to COVID. You know, you got the Roberts Family Development Center. You have, other folks in the community, 21 Reasons. Like, there's a lot of different folks that are doing as much as they possibly can, right? But I think that, when you have like organizations like Advanced Peace, who I know directly deal with those guys that are doing some of those activities, they are pressing a button to where I know, because I've seen it, I've been involved, where they're in the trenches working with these young people, right? And it's hard when our young people are so influenced, right, by, all of these different things that come at them in their community, that eventually you can say what you got to say, but if you don't create an alternative that's immediately captivates them, they're pretty much a lost soul. But I will say there's a situation that just happened, I'll say on Friday. A young person who was disrespecting one of the dead young people that got killed earlier in the summertime put up a diss song. And what my people did, as I passed the information on, they were able to galvanize and do enough connecting the dots and to been able to take this kid, excuse me, that has this music that was insinuating violence, disrespecting the dead, that was able to have him take off the actual song off his IG. So yes, some people were like, not a real big deal, but it really truly is when you have influencers like that can get to these kids and be like, hey, bro, this ain't good. Because what would have happened this weekend, we would have had another bloody weekend. That's not saying that there might not be retaliation because enough people heard the song, but it wasn't something that was playing all through the weekend that continued to insinuate and frustrate people, and people just started to say, I'm going to take revenge. For the young people that we talk about that are not in that life, the one-on-ones, what I've been doing with my kids, especially my young men, I've literally found a day where I will grab 7, 10, 3, whatever, and have those one-on-ones. We're sitting down, we're breaking bread, we're eating, and this is part of our mental health kind of component where I'm bringing them around other supportive young men that won't look at them like this nigga crazy, because they're all dealing with the same issues. And we have those one-on-ones so we can really feed into making sure we keep these young men strong. The saddest part of what I when I talked to one of my nephews, actually, we did a breaking bread yesterday. He's 21 years old, and he loves hanging out with me because he has really nobody to hang out with. And I asked him, I said, Neff, what's up with all your partners that you went to high school with? Like the dudes I used to see him in high school with, hang out with. He said, Unc, seriously, hanging out with some of those dudes, I'd have to pack a gun every day. I couldn't be able to go here. If somebody walks in from the other side, I'd have to be prepared. It's not my life. That's not, I love them, but that's not my life. And I think a lot of our kids deal with that. Like, it's almost like they have to separate themselves from people that they grew up with, went to high school with, or in their community, because it's that serious right now in our communities. And I don't have the solution for that, nor does anybody really else, because if we did, we would have done it. This is generations and centuries, decades of hateful messages, feuds, death that has been put in our communities, that they believe that within 2 or some years, people like ourselves that do violence intervention work or do mentorship work is going to be able to solve it within 3 years and $10,000. And I mean $10,000 for 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of like what they say. Well, go solve it. How the hell are we going to do that? So I think some people really need to be mature and be very cautious on how you direct certain energy to people that have been doing this work for several years. When folks start talking ish and acting as if people were not on the ground or haven't been on the ground, let me tell you what organizations did. As soon as those murders happened, I got on the phone, I assembled our team, and I said, yo, we need to make a stand. At that time, we made a stand. And then folks all started doing their own collective in different areas, in different parts, a full court press on standing up against the violence that happened. We highlighted the 9-year-old. We highlighted the 17-year-old. We highlighted the other 19-year-old that got killed 2 weeks prior to that. We highlighted all those folks. We put a full court press. And you know what happened, Queen? You had 2 arrests. That don't happen that often. Usually it's like they die, folks might get upset, and we kind of go into our cubby hole. But because we've been doing the work, folks from each side, north, south, in between, we mobilize, we strategize what we were going to do, and we continue to put pressure. And guess what? Law enforcement was able to make that arrest. And I'm not celebrating that, because I really feel these young people that make these mistakes, we should be able to have some way to rehabilitate them, right? Or stop them from doing something so detrimental to their life. Not just a person's life, but their own life. We don't celebrate that because we've just lost, basically, out of these situations, you double the losses. So if we lost 4, we lose another 4 because those people are never going to see the light of day because they'll be locked up.
Right on. So Barry, with that, and I agree with you saying, I think the other part is one thing to be reactionary. You know, we wait till people kill each other, then all of a sudden it's an issue. But how do we make sure that people just don't have affordable housing, that they have home ownership? How do we make our communities and our neighborhoods safe so that people can go outside and play and don't have to worry about gunplay? Or don't have to worry about somebody, because the gunplay is something that's very visible, but we know like the murdering of people is high. Black women, that's going to keep it all the way solid. Molestation, rape, all that sister's article that came out about St. Paul and what's happening.
Yeah. What was that about?
Black people, you know, running to defend this man when we know that 70% of Black women before they're 18 have been sexually assaulted in some way or form. So it's kind of like, are we there hiding because maybe this is our son, our brother, our husband, somebody we like? Because my thing is, I don't know what the hell people do when they're in my sight. I like to think I know who a person is, but shit, it'd be like when people be talking crap and then the video come up, you'd be like, oh shit, because you never know. But I just feel like we have to have and not just saying me and you, I'm talking about just as a community, Barry, to do away with some of these things that happen to people, because to me, that's what creates the other effect. Yeah. Sometimes we'll be at the bottom of the ravine trying to stop people from jumping off the cliff instead of going up on top of the cliff. Like, what's making the people jump off the goddamn cliff? Yeah. And some people, we don't want to talk about that. We, you know, sometimes in our community, not all of us.
No. I think that it's too much of an isolated conversation, because here's the thing, sis, right? And I know it wasn't comfortable for a lot of people, and it's not a pro-police stance. And we talk about accountability and responsibility. And that was our theme. I said, well, if we want these police officers to be accountable and responsible for the actions they take upon us, then we have to look at ourselves. And then, you know, folks will try to say, white supremacy. And I get it, right? You and I know the root of. But at the end of the day, I guarantee you, you and I can sit down and interview a majority of these so-called shooters, a majority of these so-called people that create these heinous acts in our community. They would not be able to attach anything about white supremacy. But I guarantee you one thing they will attach on, they will attach to some childhood experience that happened to them, some influential person that they had a dealing with that created the individual that you're now seeing today. So as much as I love to point the finger at white supremacy, and yes, we know that it's there.
We get it, but it's been real.
But it's been this real, because let's look at this perfect world. I'm going to paint a perfect world for the Black community for a second.
Okay.
We don't have community violence. We don't have community violence anymore. So Negroes ain't killing Negroes. And guess what? Police ain't killing Negroes. So we don't have those two big main issues that we always, I feel, exaggerate. Not saying that it's not a real problem, because it is, but we almost make it seem like these are the only two problems that we have in our Black community. Everything else is kind of like it's an easy fix. Let's say we don't have those two big issues. Then what? Let's say we don't have those two big issues. What about molestation? What about, like for me, why weren't people at St. Paul?
Hello?
Why wouldn't don't look for Barry to do it all the time, because y'all don't respect when Barry does what he does. I'm gonna be very clear. I'm gonna be very honest. Niggas don't respect when I go out and do Barry, no, because I'm not gonna be your Black superhero every day all the time. It's just not gonna happen. Someone else needs to do that job. Why? Because other people were affected at that church. So I could have easily galvanized about 10 folks and we could have sat right there and did the goddamn thing. But why is that my job? You know what I mean? Why isn't it more of the community in an uproar? Because it's a front page news article. I saw this shit. I was like, whoa.
Me too. Sorry.
I said, whoa. What? I said, huh? I'm reading it like, niggas are gonna be up there in the front. And one of my brothers hit me up. It's like, B, man, we gotta go out there. I said, you know what, brother? I wanna see how folks start directing the energy. I'm in Facebook jail, can't really do too much. I got other platforms, but my Facebook be my main piece. Right. So I wanna see how the community galvanize. Matter of fact, I was waiting for my community to galvanize when the 19-year-old got shot. But nobody was like, nobody was really worried about that. And the girl, the 19 that got shot in an area where you like, huh? Natomas? That ain't no area. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how you get shot over there? So when I sat there and made the call to action to do our first part of Oppressor plus a stand to denounce the violence, that allowed other things to now start unfolding. But I wasn't just decided to say, let's talk about the 9-year-old. I said, let's talk about the variations of death that have happened so far. So when you look at something that happens in St. Paul, and you really have nobody really talking about it, not at all, it lets me know folks value what they want to value, and they discredit people that value it to make people that value it say, if you keep on discrediting me when I'm putting and shedding the light, guess what? I'm not going to talk about the situation. I'm going to let y'all deal with it. And I've watched people deal with it, and it's kind of embarrassing, right? So we're basically going to sit there and say this woman, after 30 years, is lying about what she's saying?
Yep. And all the other people, though, Barry, her mother, people at the church, the head minister, all of these people. So sometimes when we see people trying to defend people, it's like, don't that make you a co-conspirator? Is our community full of a bunch of co-conspirating people? I mean, that's kind of sad. And so people want to leave the Black community. We want to call them sellouts or they ain't Black enough. Who wants to be a part of people? Who wants to continue to try to love and be a part of the people who will not protect you?
Sis, did you hear about that story that happened in Vegas about the car with the young man leaving his daughter in the car and she died?
Yes, he didn't want to break his window. The
mom comes out and is basically begging the world to look at her son in a different light. This is not my son. My son is a good father. He takes care of his children. He's not like other African American black men. I'm like looking at like, your son is a goddamn idiot. Your son made a big mistake that cost his daughter her life.
Yeah.
Whether he meant to do it or what. Negro, your daughter's in the car, break the goddamn window. And when I heard the mother
making
talking and taking that stance, I was like, you know what? Niggas ain't ready for the responsibility button. We're not ready for that. And I think that's the problem that always leads us to the same exact thing. How do we constantly say we want folks to be accountable? We want folks to take responsibility for the shit that they've done to us, and we never look at our own self. That's a character flaw. How can we sit there and say these things, and when we look at ourselves, nope, that's not my fault. Or the young people sometime that we some of the young people that we mentor, right? That these niggas want us to be responsible for every goddamn thing we do for against them. Like if we don't pick up a phone call, if we didn't make it to something on time, if we didn't provide some kind of resource, it's all us. But as soon as it's back on the other hand, them young people don't act like they know what responsibility is all about. And as sad as those stories in Las Vegas, as sad as those stories as a black man that raped his like what, 10-month-old daughter?
Yeah.
And y'all niggas want to have the audacity to talk about where are this and where are that? Like, where are the people in these people's lives that are taking the responsibility and making these people accountable? You could not be my friend acting and behaving like that. You just couldn't. So I just watch it, and it's almost mind-blowing because I watch these Negroes get behind irresponsible, fraudulent individuals because it's more attractive, it makes more sense. And guess what, sis? Negroes don't hold each other accountable, so they all want to circle around each other because here comes the unaccountable crew, here comes the unresponsible crew, because it takes a lot more for a person to be consistent and to look at themselves and say, I fucked up, I made a mistake, I got to take that one, I own it. And I don't think that it sounds good for ownership. We talk about ownership. We could easily own a whole lot of shit. But sis, why the hell would I go back to these neighborhoods that as soon as I buy a whole bunch of houses, them niggas is going to try to run me off the block? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the reality is niggas don't even want to go and replenish these neighborhoods because some niggas ain't safe in their own neighborhoods. And that's just and we got to start talking the truth. I'm tired of Negroes not talking the truth. Let's start talking the truth. Why? Why we ain't going in these communities? Because you niggas is scared. Because a lot of these folks' minds ain't right. And it's not a hard thing to see. It's just a reality that we exist in. And I think that what pressurizes black people is that we always want to make an excuse on blackish behavior that is detrimental to our community. Period. From grandmothers to what they bring to their daughters or their sons, right? That then have children and they put it on their children and they have children and they put it, it's generational curses that are just being thrown and we're not breaking any. Yeah. I said to myself, a generational curse I'll break with me and my daughter. Me and my daughter will remain close even in adulthood. Me and my father, we're cool, but we're not like me and my daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like I just saw her yesterday. She's like, Dad, man, I need something to eat. Where you at? Come on. That's not that she can't get no food. It's that she wants to see her dad and just give me something to eat. I don't look at that as not being a responsibility for me. I look at that as I'm her dad. I have the access. I want to see my child, and I'm going to feed my child. I don't give a damn if she's 24 because she works hard and she does the things that she needs to do. And when she doesn't do the shit she needs to do, I'm going to be in her ass.
Right on.
And I'm going to explain to her because I think that we lose this idea that we still have to teach our young people, and it creates this myth that I'm grown. Negro, if you still coming and getting from me, you're not grown enough for me to tell you some shit. And I insist, it's scary because you and I both know that there's a whole bunch of pedophiles running around in Sacramento. Some that have positions in power, right? And some that are just floating around. And for whatever sick, sad reason, Black community does not want to stand because everybody got an excuse about everything to everything. She shouldn't have been here. He shouldn't have been doing that, blah, 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 whatever they want to say. And I think that's the level of where we'll never get out of our own way because we truly don't want to take accountability and responsibility. Those two words are so powerful, but they don't resonate in our community enough.
Right on. Everything you said, Barry, is ditto, ditto, ditto. I think that's one of the reasons why people have to disconnect from Black people that are Black. Because if you don't, you will go crazy. Because we spend a lot of time making up excuses for people we created, situations we created in terms of violence, in terms of when your child acted a certain way, you should do something. When you see your kid constantly medicating himself with weed and shit because now it's fashionable. Like, y'all, come on. Your kid is not old enough to have arthritis like that or whatever you want to say you're taking it for. Like, it's a lot of work involved in that. And the same work we put into getting dressed, going to church to hear the word. Shit, once you hear the word, you're supposed to do something with the goddamn word. You're supposed to use it to improve your life. I definitely think we have a lot of pedophiles running around here, but I think we have a lot of unhealthy traditions. I'm gonna call them because we describe in terms of curses. I believe they're traditions at this point, but they're unhealthy.
Well, break that down.
You learn something from your elders, and then you pass it on to next generations. I don't necessarily see them as curses, and I get that, but I also see them now as just traditions. So, for instance, if it's a tradition in your family that somebody kills somebody in your family and you protect them, and then you teach that to your daughter, and then each generation somebody kills somebody and you protect the person who killed the person, that's now your family tradition. Black folks have been around long enough where the shit is no longer a curse, it's your part of your tradition. At some point, somebody has to say, I'm breaking that tradition. We don't do that shit in this next generation. I'm going to spend my whole life correcting that because it's like a part of breathing. It's like when you're corrupt. This is how I feel about going to certain places in Africa, particularly Nigeria. No disrespect. Sometimes they do shit, Barry, and you be like, that's not right. And they be like, well, that's what we do here. They're telling me it's my culture to be corrupt. It's my culture. We're corrupt here. But I also see some Nigerians like that's not right as well. You see what I'm saying? So I think in our community, we have to break with those unhealthy traditions. If you know it's not okay for your dad to be fucking his daughter, you know what I mean? And then it goes on down the line, that's not a healthy tradition. It's not healthy. If you know it is not healthy, that all the women in your line, their first child does not belong to the husband they have a bunch of kids with, you got to tell your daughters so that they will break that tradition. Like, no, it's not okay. If you didn't like the way that felt, the goddamn it, let your child know so they will know we don't do that. That's something we did back in the day when we didn't know anything. Now we know better. But if you protect people in their sickness, then you pass that sickness forward. Everything we do, Barry, will affect 7 generations forward. Wow. That's how powerful we are. But if we don't take no responsibility, that's why I'm glad to say in my mama's growing with my mom, she did not do excuses. She did not give a fuck. She was like, if you did the part you're supposed to do, that's one thing. But if you're going to tell me you did not do something because you thought this person was a racist, you thought this person, she would be livid. Did you do your part? Did you do your homework? Did you do whatever it was? So for me, I don't do excuses too well. I'm like, dude, I stayed up all night to get some shit done for today. I don't want to hear the excuse I had to go to sleep. I come from that. So sometimes when I'm with black people and they want to start telling me about white supremacy, I don't want to hear that shit. Because that has nothing to do with somebody touching on a little girl. That has nothing to do with somebody murdering somebody. That ain't got shit to do with nothing. You know, I just don't want to hear that shit. If we don't learn to be accountable, Barry, then we don't get to govern ourselves. That's why people come up with ways of locking us up or drugging us up. You have to accept the challenge. I remember once asking an elder who was on crack. This person was in all the powerful Black Power movements. And I said, what made you start smoking crack? when you've been a part of all of these awesome things. You know what I mean? And he looked me right in the face and said, because I had some experiences that I just could not shake. He didn't say, no, the white man pitted in my community. Well, he always pit pork in our community. He puts all kind of shit in there. That don't mean you have to partake of it. You only get to partake of it if you can't address something that you need relief from. And that's what he was saying. Because I didn't know how to address the trauma that I had growing up, because shit happened to me, like rejection and people fucking with me. That's how I started smoking crack. Mm-hmm. That was the realest fucking answer I ever got. I don't want to hear about somebody flying some shit over in the plane or on a boat. They always put shit in our community. But what happens that we have to partake of it? Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? That's the real root of the shit, right? That's the root right there.
Well, I think that the argument side would be, if Queen, we going.
I know.
I've been talking to this lady about a Cash App. I'm just gonna go ahead and you know what? I'm gonna put that on me so we can connect that, because we missing out on something. We're gonna talk about that on a later end. You know what I'm saying? Let me say, Erica, yes, I'm so glad as a man you said this, because I'm a Black family and it's always a secret and it never gets resolved. Yeah, Erica, shouts out to my queen Erica. You know what I'm saying? Sack high, it is Young Dragon. I think the hardest part in this, and this is us just being honest, right? We're just being honest. And I think that we're not honest enough with each other in a way. And I'm not saying honest in a way that some niggas think they honest, because, a lot of niggas be thinking they honest on social media, right? I'm going to blast somebody. I'm going to put it out there. But then the energy be totally different from how you post it. Your energy don't be the same. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then on top of that, I don't respect folks who got my number and you got something to say about me and you don't utilize it, or people that know me, if you got some issues, come directly, right? Because once you start doing that, I get to see your character flaws. And I know, since I've been off of social media, at least Facebook, I don't have niggas don't got no material because I'm giving, yes, we will. You know what, y'all?
Next show, I'm going to get a Cash App up there.
Next show, we're going to have a Cash App. The next show, Cash App Venmo. But going back to this, the reality is, like, for me, when then we get into this place where now niggas want to just act as if, okay, it's going to be Johnny Cool. No, it's not going to be Johnny Cool with me. Because if you can disrespect me online, I know behind closed doors, the disrespect is probably fucking out the roof. Now, going back to what we're talking about with our Black people. For anybody that has felt distress, anybody that's felt dark, that has been in a dark place, and a lot of us be. I mean, there's been moments like literally I had to take this whole weekend. I worked with my crew and it was so refreshing with the team that I have in Marin. Shouts out to my Trap the Vote team out there. No egos. Like, niggas is all okay with what they're okay with. And so when you go there, it's refreshing, because now you come back to the energy. And sometimes I think the energy that we put out there, it exists in ways that some people project who we are, and we just take it instead of saying, no, that ain't me. But it's so hard when you do the work the way we do the work. So we're always in this mode of constantly being attacked because folks expect us to walk a perfect line. I think that's unfair. There's no person in this world that can walk a perfect line. You know what I'm saying? A perfect line creates what? More of a distraction to, as I see it, fuck up. You know what I'm saying? You try to be perfect, you're going to be messing up all kinds of shit, right? And my idea that I always see for myself is I just always try to take myself out of certain situations that I know I have to say 5 years later, is this going to be detrimental or is this going to be beneficial? And I think that a lot of our folks think in a response of right now. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's like very reactive. We're reactionary. We're We're in the moment. We're not in this idea of, okay, let's kind of line it out for 10 years. Because a man abusing a woman for however long he did, he just believed in his minds of minds she would never have the guts to be able to say something about the abuse. And this is what constantly happens in our community. Folks think that, guess what? I can abuse this person. They're weak. They're frail. They're embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? Nobody will believe them. And most of the times, that's what happens, right? Unless you have some hardcore evidence, like a videotape, right? You know what I'm saying? Like a videotape showing that the woman was raped, right? Showing all of these different things. A person doesn't want to believe that people that create this idea of themselves, that they're all godly, that they're spiritual, that holier than thou, that they would never do nothing to disrespect, that they're protectors. Folks don't want to believe the truth that everybody has a dark side. And with that dark side, the thing about it, how many times are we willing to enter the dark side? Because that becomes the thing. We have to fight to say, I will not enter that dark side. I want to stay in the light. I think that's the biggest challenge that we have. Oftentimes, our young people, they say, fuck it, I'm going to the dark side, right? Because they don't really realize and understand. You should think about how many lives are going to be lost by making that 1 second decision by shooting in the crowd. You're not even hitting your target, right? You should also think your life will be derailed for the rest of this life. And the clout that you think you may get will not be clout that can transfer for the next 10, 30 years. Like a lot of these niggas who are doing these crimes nowadays, we're not going to even hear about you. Whereas there are certain people, I know that you have a lot of like influential drug lords in Philly, where I'm just looking at right here in the Bay Area, Felix Mitchell, that was a legendary Negro. You know what I'm saying? The guy, Freeway Rick Ross, I know you hate him, but in a sense of that was a guy that you will always talk about. These Negroes don't have that kind of charisma or that kind of building of their legacy. However, if it was negative or not, they don't have that. They just have this dumb motherfucker shot this 9-year-old child and that nigga was doing life. That's it. You don't get any props. You don't get lifted up. Oh, he was a real one. He busted his gun. You get terrorized in a jail cell for killing a 9-year-old. You know what I'm saying? And these are the things that I don't think our young people and adults even realize. And I will blame the adults on one level. You perpetuate the bullshit our young people do because a lot of you adults still truly want to be young. And I'm not saying you don't have to be fashionable. I'm not saying you ain't got to wear nice shoes. But eventually, some of us older folks hitting on that 40, hitting on that late 30s, you got to start showing and impressioning on us and the young people on how it looks to elevate. You can't be that same 40-year-old being 16 or 21 and thinking that you're going to embark knowledge on them. And I think that, Queen, is another thing about responsibility, because there should be no way that if we were responsible for our own, and this is going to another subject, there should be no way that Black men have excuses about not being with their children. And that to me is a huge part. I'm not saying that everyone got to be in harmony, because I'm not with my daughter's mom in a way of matrimony, but I do say we must be able to co-parent, and me and my daughter's mom do an excellent job of co-parent. And I feel like a lot of the problems that we entail right now could be easily solved if people would just start stepping up, taking responsibility, hold themselves accountable, and start growing up. Because a lot of these young people, they don't live by themselves. They got a home. Right. And they go into some adult's house. And some adult that's not checking in to see what these young people are doing, being in their ass, being in their business.
Right on, right on. You're absolutely right on, baby. Right on. I also remember coming from a time where people, when you had a child, that child was your seed. Like you really cared about where your child ended up, who they were with, what they were doing. I think we got to figure out how to help people get back to that part. There's nothing like seeing an extension of yourself outside of yourself. And somehow we lost that. You know, we lost the value. What I was going to try to say earlier is that there's, to me, sometimes I feel like in a lot of Black communities or in the Black world or whatever we call it this decade, there's a lack of value on Black life, on Black people. And I can't buy the excuse that somehow it has something to do with white supremacy, because I've been in communities where we've known what outside people thought of us. All that matters is what we felt about ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? I could be upset with my sisters, but I ain't gonna let you talk about them. Just had a big argument. You better not say shit about my family. You know what I mean? So there was a time where the Black community was just like that. You know, where we cared about each other. We cared enough to worry about, you know, when we watch young kids walk home from school, make sure they made it home. And we see some shit that's questionable. Hey, what's going on? That's when you show value in your community. And sometimes I don't see that as much as more. I see us turn the blind eye because we're like, it ain't none of my business, you know, but the way the universe works, what affects me will affect you. Because today it may come for me, but tomorrow they'll be coming for you. So how we gonna deal with this today? What we gonna do?
But sis, this is the thing about when I go back to the parenting piece. I did that at 11 o'clock at night. I saw 5 young people that shouldn't have been out there in the street on a Sunday night. A 4-year-old, 11-year-olds, one probably 8, 5 of them. They had no parental guidance. I mean, the blind was leading the blind. And you know what I got for my troubles? I got cursed out. You know what I'm saying? I got cursed out. I got threatened. I got told that I was being a pedophile, chasing them. So I, at the same particular time, sis, yes, there are people like myself that go the extra mile. But if these kids come from a place, and of course I did my nice little saying, I said, don't trip, I'll see you again. Because I'm looking at these young kids running through this public facility, this strip mall at 11 at night, like, school's on Monday, where's the parents at? And when I was met to try to figure out to help them, I was met with the disrespect. So I think sometimes people don't want to go that extra mile because of that. Because sis, you and I both know, we work with some kids that we looking at them and we saying to ourselves, holy smokes, who the hell is your parents? What devil seed did you come from? Because when they come with that attitude and you ain't even started to even speak to them about what they may experience in the collective mentorship coalition that they've now entered themselves in, they already got the attitude like, fuck you. And a lot of our kids are being birthed into that. And to me, sometimes I think we forget how much work really goes into dealing with our young people. It's like when some people come to me and they talk all that shit about the community violence is going on. What y'all niggas think y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna go to JoJo and give JoJo a candy bar and just hug on JoJo and just come by and visit JoJo and say, let's go to the movies, and JoJo's not gonna be a killer no more? Is that what you really think is gonna happen? Yeah, y'all niggas don't even have an idea. Stopping community violence is not about galvanizing the community for a few days, making statements. It's like doing programming that really connects with some of these young people. And it has to be consistent. And it can't be consistent if you and I are still saying, I got to pay my rent. I got to make sure that my home doesn't fall apart and go give all of that you have for free. It don't work like that.
I agree with you, Barry, but I got to say this, and I agree with everything you're saying. You're right on, spot on, so I'm not disagreeing. But what I do know, the community that I come from, because to me, it really comes with that upbringing. I don't give a fuck if I get cussed out. I don't really give a fuck. I'm going to still do what's right. I come from the people who did what's right. They didn't have a lot of money, but they had a lot of morals. They had a lot of spirit. They believed in the people that they were attached to. They believed in their community. So for me, I had parents cuss me out before. I'd be like, okay, I'm still going to do the same thing I did before. It don't change me, because when people are sick and people have been beat up and brutalized and terrorized, You gotta have some real cojones to go up in there and be like, I'm still gonna stand on what's right. I'm not gonna bow down because I want you to like me. I don't give a fuck if you don't like me. But I will tell the truth. I will never forget. I seen this young lady a couple of days ago and I stopped to get some coffee somewhere. I remember this young girl cussed me out in class and I was so patient with her. She had a baby girl all like, hey, Mama Ro, hey, baby, how you doing? Because you know what, that cuss out didn't mean shit because she was going through shit. Yeah. We gotta have just as much patience and love that we accuse white people of not giving us. We gotta get that to ourselves.
Well, I mean, you know, I thought I was doing.
Right, which is what you do, but I'm just saying, at some point, this is what I learned, that you got to do the shit anyway. You got to love on us anyway. And I get programming. It's great to know I do programming. But for me, Barry, it's so much bigger than that. We got to create culture where we get to see and love each other and tell the truth, regardless of how the fuck we really feel. Do I feel good getting cussed out? No. But I'm just like, well, sis, I'm standing on my truth. I don't give a fuck, really. Yeah. Scratch your ass and get glad. That's what old people used to say. Scratch your ass and get glad. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. We need that, because what I do know, Barry, is that those is called imprints you make on people. And when they get older, they be like, well, damn, that person, somebody did do that for me once. So when young people say, ain't nobody looking at me, somebody has always looked out for you. You just can't remember it right now. You wasn't open to the experience right now. But we've always looked out for each other. That's a rarity to find a nigga who don't want to help you for real. That's a rarity. I mean, that's why sometimes when shit happens, I go somewhere, black kids looking at me. Okay, now I got to show up. I can't be in here like, well, I'm not this person's mother. I don't really. Dude, you my child. We are connected. That's why you looked over at me. Because you know I'm from where you from. You know we connected to the same nervous system.
But are we all connected? Are we all from where we from, though?
I think we are, but I think some of us forget, Barry, because the same reason why people so crack in our community and try to convince us that it was so they could pay their rent. Nigga, you been paid your rent, but you got greedy because those emotions are real. You got greedy. You want to live well. You know what I mean? But at the very end, didn't you have to come back down to the community you destroyed because so you could pay your house note or whatever it was? So all of us, because America makes you be connected to the same nervous system. Even when I can talk about the bougie Negro who want to live in high places. Don't you need us to get in this shit? You can't get in this shit. White people don't need you like that. You have to say you're connected to black people, or else you're no use to them. You're no use to them at all. White people already know these niggas ain't got no power. So it's like you did all of that for them to love you, and you still got to come back to me. You still got to come back to the black folks that you tried to shit on your way up to being a part of them, which they don't want you no goddamn way. So you still have to come back to the nervous system because you can't do shit without us. You can't go nowhere without us. You can't do shit. This is the part that get me with black people, and I love black people, Barry. That's why it hurts so bad when we kill each other. That's why it hurts so bad when we shit on each other. Do you know what it's like to speak to black people? They look at you like, who the fuck is you? And I'm like, hey, bro, don't be gritting on me. Hey, good morning. Like, I'll say that, dude, you know me. You know you owe me the proper respect, at least say hi. That is not going to kill you or your mate. You know what I mean? Speak, goddammit. Speak. Because when somebody lynches your ass, when somebody fires your ass, when somebody be on your ass, who comes to your defense? Black people.
Well, yeah, that's sis. That's why this shit is crazy to me. You know what I mean? And it's no disrespect, but it's like this thing that, and we're gonna have to really come to have the conversation about black women and black men. Yeah. Because if we don't figure that shit out, right? Because black women, black men create the black family in a whole, and when the black family is whole, we move and we navigate a whole lot better. Trust me when I tell you that. You know what I'm saying? I know my parenting style and my daughter's mom's parenting style has created a whole daughter that her and I both realize that, yeah, we probably are not a good fit together, but we're going to have to figure out how we be dealing with this daughter of ours before she get turned out. And that's the real shit, because if we really want to, let's move aside all of the situation, right? Black men and black women. Oh yeah, sis, we got to. Yeah, I think that a lot of it, and I'm just going to speak on just one particular piece of this. I tend to kind of laugh when black men die, police brutality, black men die, and then the sisters jump in, mobilize. Not saying the brothers don't, but a lot of sisters mobilize. But a lot, or there be some prominent sisters that mobilize for dead black men, but can't stand or respect the living black men. I'm just being honest.
We love a dead black man. We gonna love you when you're dead. We gonna love that man.
We
don't like you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wait a minute. So you gonna love this dead Negro? Probably more than likely, you probably wouldn't even get along with this Negro, right? But the living Negro who is trying to help mobilize with you, you just kind of like, nah, Negro. That to me is just like bizarre. Then with the black man, you got the brother that protect black women. Yeah, we got to protect our sisters, our queens, blah, blah, blah. Okay, one, Negro don't even be with a sister or a queen. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Hey, listen, this is what I do, queen. I step on toenails. That's what I do, love. That's what I do.
White toenail polish.
Yes, I'm stepping on them. This is what I do. More truth than you can handle. You know what I'm saying? Connecting with the black experience. This is what I do. All right. So that reality to me, right? I look at it, then I'll be like, okay, you ain't got a black woman tonight. No, we're gonna let the Negro pause. But then in reality, it's like, you saying protect the black woman, but then in the same sentence, a Negro that's not protecting a black woman, that let's look at the Tory Lanez, Megan Thee Stallion situation. You Negroes are trying to make an excuse for a Negro that shot a black woman. So it's like, wait a minute, hold up. I'm trying to figure this shit out. It's like, so you saying that protect the black woman, but if a black woman talks shit to the black man, pull out the gun and shoot. It just like some of these things to me is the things that we got to fix. And these are like the small pieces that I feel we got to come to some kind of correction. Take responsibility, accountability to some of the stuff that we create for ourselves, because black man lead, black woman lead, we all lead, but if we are all divided, whoever's leading ain't leading us to shit, because they not leading the people. They just leading their pack of people that they've connected with, their pack of people that support their endeavors. So if we want to be a collective to really get our shit together, we got to be not in full agreement, because we don't have to all, as you say, we're not monolithic. We have to be in some kind of agreement into what we value, what are our codes of ethics, and have responsibility when people or consequences for people that break these codes. And I think that's when we can sit there and look at a Kamala Harris and stuff like that. Hold on.
See, that's what I'm saying though, bruh. Candyman.
On the way. What the people don't get, it's class matters. And at the same time, I get what my family is saying. True that, but that's when I'm saying the hypocrisy comes. The hypocrisy comes of we cannot collectively get together if our moral compass is like, okay, if you're going to protect black men and that's what you do, the first black man that you really should be protecting is a living black man. Don't try to say you're fighting for dead black men when you won't even fight for living black men. Or don't say protect black women when a Negro does something to a black woman, you're trying to make a Negro with excuses. Like, these are the things that are hypocrisy in our community, and we keep on doing it. And we run behind it, Sis, this is not saying we cannot have disagreements. I think they're great. You and I disagree a lot of times. But I'm going to tell you one thing. Niggas ain't going to be able to come for you. And in my base, niggas ain't going to be able to come for me on your end. Right, and that's just what it is. Right? And in these circles of pockets of people talking shit, as you and I both know, you have the conversations with those people, be like, that's probably the wrong method. If they choose to keep on doing it, they choose to keep on doing it. It is what it is. But we have to come to a common place because we're setting ourselves up for ruins. Our black children don't know what to do. They don't know what's right. They're dealing with all these different masses, and here we are split every time. And it does not make a whole community if black men and black women are on we're on such these odds against each other when everything's against us and we don't have a particular love or genuine trust for each other. It does not, for me, does not make this black world a world that we're going to have in place anytime soon if we don't get the basic shit together for our own.
Right on. This is what I'll say to that, Barry. I hear everything you're saying, and it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. I always look at it like this. The black man has been more valuable dead than he's ever been alive. And the black woman is more valuable alive than she is dead. Because when she's alive, she'll fight for everybody. She'll do everything for everybody. But when she died, we don't even give a shit that over close to 800 black women have been murdered by black men, and we ain't said shit. But when she alive, she can cook for you, she can clean for you, she can love, she can do everything. She's worth something alive because she'll work. But when she dead, it's like, well, don't leave her no more. And black men, because we have issues with the black man, even though most of us black men, real black men come out of between black men and black women, we make the black man. So the fact that he comes through the sacred portal, which is the black woman, and then he gets here, and we got all kind of problems with you, and then got the audacity to want to fight for you when you're dead. See, that shit don't make no sense. To me, it don't make no sense. I'm dead serious. And so I feel like because we haven't had courage, Barry, to have these real conversations about what is it with black men? Why do some black women, I said the word some, the black people, they don't even hear that fucking word. You say some, and people be like, well, wait a minute. Oh! Yeah, it's like, dude, maybe I'm talking about your ass. Maybe you are not a part of the some who don't do it. But what I'm saying is we got to have those real courageous conversations. Somebody going to have to say, you know what? I didn't even know that was offensive, sis. I'll stop saying that. Oh, bro, I didn't know that was offensive when I said it to you. I'll stop saying that to you. But because we are two hurt individuals, all we do is fucking fight each other all day long. And then when one of us get killed, we be like, oh, that brother was a good brother. And we in the street. Was he good when he was alive? Did you talk to him when he was alive? Did you tell him how you felt when you were alive? Now you want to have this, oh my God, we got to value each other in death? Because let me tell you something, dead people don't give a fuck. They gone. They is out of here. They ain't got to be dealing with this physical world no more. But why you want to make them a rock star when they dead? Why do we do shit like that? Don't be pouring no goddamn libations for me. And you ain't did shit for me while I was walking around this motherfucker. You know, you didn't do none of that for me. So don't do it for me when I'm dead. Don't give me no goddamn flowers when I'm dead. I want to get the motherfuckers right now. So I think sometimes as black people, we don't want to have those hard, courageous conversations that we want to have with white people, though. We want white people to love us. Please, why don't you love me? Why are you shooting me dead in the streets? Like, we want to have that conversation with them, but you don't want to have it with your own people. Get the fuck out of here with that one. Don't get me started. I just think those are real conversations. I know a lot of black women around here mad at their baby daddy. They didn't make it with him, or maybe he ain't paid child support, or maybe, I don't know, you didn't lick his toe. I don't know what the fuck. But instead of you saying, hey, this is the father of my child, I got to figure out how to get along with him, or how many people talk bad about their child to their mama and daddy? Like, how many people, excuse me, do shit like that? You know, how many people do stuff like that? How many of y'all know how to say, you know, I'm old school. My mom never spoke bad about my dad. My dad was not the best person at that time. That was her rule. She didn't let us talk bad about him. She never talked bad about him. But dad do some fucked up shit. Yes, he did.
Mama was on social media about that.
No, mama, she just didn't do that. And then she heard us say, so she's like, hey, you don't talk about your day like that. You know, so we be whispering like she can hear. You know, parents got like bionic ears and shit. But my point is that, you know, we got to have those courageous conversations. See, there ain't shit to get on Facebook and talk shit. But it's something to be, if somebody face to face, you know, saying how you really feel. And then to me, Barry, it gets back to the root. Is it really you, or do you represent somebody who fucked me up? And then I got a problem with you because you are male. And the person who fucked me up was a male. So now I see you and like I don't like, you know how niggas is. That's a famous line. You know how the niggas is. You know, no, I don't know how these niggas is because all niggas ain't the same. You understand? But instead of us saying, you know what? That's my stuff coming up. I've said to people like, you made me feel like something, you know, you said something to me that brought up some shit in me, and I gave it to you when I should have checked myself. Because maybe that wasn't your intention. But that's how I took it. Because you made me feel like when I was 5 or some shit. Like, I mean, or just keep it real. Where did that energy come from? But we don't do that. We don't keep it real.
Nah.
We all think we on reality TV shows. This ain't no goddamn fake reality TV show. This is your damn life. Do you really love your brother or sister? Or everybody talking about, I'm a Pan-Africanist. Shut the hell up. You ain't even paying your goddamn neighborhood. You ain't even looked around your whole damn. How you be a Pan-Africanist and say some of the shit you say out your mouth? I mean, you hate the black man, but you got his kids. You lay down with one, and you produce both of y'all. So how do you hate this person and love his seed? How do you do that? You look at him or her, you see him or her. Come on.
I mean, it's a reality that we have to look at, because at the end of the day, you know, I feel like the journey that we're in, we have so much more control of the journey, but we almost act as if we are a blind man or a blind woman steering our own wheels. Like we can't see what's ahead of us when all of us have sight. And I think that for me, a lot of the time, as we continue to blindly go in this journey and not open up our eyes, not recognize some of the things that create what the energies we bring towards each other, like the hypocrisy. Again, it befounds me when I see these sisters going hard body for the dead man, the dead black man. And then it'd be like, huh? You know what I'm saying? It'd be like, well, the living black man, you wouldn't fucking piss on his fiery carcass if it was right there on the middle of the street. And then when the black man is going on this protect black women rant, and the black man don't even hold a black woman in the household. It just kind of, I just don't be understanding what the situation is. I'll be like, all right, well, I guess how we playing it. And if we want to call it the way it is, let's call it the way it is. But if we want to just continue to have a separation and think that any of these powers are going to give ours back. And the craziest part about what you gotta love profoundly about the white woman, right? She is so complicit with the behavior of the white man that you rarely get white women standing outside of what the white man says or wants to do, right? The allyship with white women is very fragile in many ways, because you gotta look at deeply how they continue to support white man ideology, white man superiority, and white man rule, though they know that white man treats them as a second-class citizen as they would us. So when you see how they stand, this is not saying that black women should take that stance, not at all. The togetherness, even in their corruption, you basically do not see a break, because if it was, then this whole thing would be a lot different. And I believe what Sister is saying, we need healing. I believe we need healing. We need understanding, but we also need a motherfucking conversation because there can't be healing without the conversation. And the conversation ain't going to be a fun conversation, right? The conversation ain't going to be a light conversation. The conversation can't be a conversation where we have a therapist trying to direct our words and no, you're trying to say this. I'm saying what I'm saying, that's coming from my mind and my heart. You know what I mean? Because as a black man that has a black daughter, I'm gonna be like LeBron James. Give me my damn respect for the shit that I do. I ain't perfect, but I do enough to make sure that I am in the right place to try to lift up my sisters as well as my young men, as well as mentoring a bunch of young men so they can be a better version of me. Telling my young man, hey, brother, I don't think you want to go that route. Get everything out your system. Try not to settle down right now because you just probably, trust me, you probably need to see yourself a little bit. Give it 6 years, move around, see the world. So when you are prepared, you can be the righteous man for that black woman or whoever that you decide to call your wife. There is real work that's being done by brothers out here in the world to try to solidify. But I'm not bashing or black bashing a black woman, saying black women ain't shit, black women ain't this, regardless of some of the effects of black women have had negatively on me. I'm always trying to figure out a way in a capacity that we can grow, live, and model with each other the experiences that we want to model for the next coming generation, to create, like what you said earlier, sis, traditions. And I don't believe that it always has to be about liking every idea or every level of a person, but it has to be some camaraderie around what we need to do. I know, hey, you know what? So I know y'all folks hate that ally shit with other people.
I don't think it's allyship. I think the white woman, if the white man rises, the white woman gets the benefit whether she wants to or not. Now, what I do know, Barry, there have been white women going against white men forever, because you don't live in that world. I do. Yeah. I'm around a lot of feminists. I'm around a lot of white women who.
No, I've seen it too. I'm just saying
they've been this way at least since the '60s. Because
I'm saying, but it's also some. But I'm saying a majority.
I think that's an idea. That's like when the pimp tries to make you feel good about when you're doing some shit that ain't good. That's what that argument of why the white woman is not in the same place with the rest of us. This is her son. When a black man does good, I feel like I'm doing good, even though I'm not getting none of the money. I feel like, oh, this is a black man. He's doing well. That speaks for all of us. They have that same camaraderie. They do. White men and white women.
We don't have it, but what I'm saying is
she burst it.
Right now, we don't have that camaraderie like that for each other.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I'm saying that we, at this particular time, the hatefulness between ourselves is, yes, sis, a lot of ego. But I don't even really think that ego is bad as long as ego doesn't have an ego trip. That's why they say ego tripping. Because I think that in this world, you got to have some kind of ego. You got to be able to have some kind of confidence about yourself moving and navigating in this crazy world. You know what I'm saying? But when you start ego tripping and start thinking that I got to be the head of every goddamn thing or be the person of every damn thing, that's what I think aligns themselves. And when you do wrong, you don't get sat down. And, you know, you just continue to try to portray yourself as someone that's doing right for the community. Because here's the thing about it. A lot of black leaders say they're black leaders, but they don't even lead with black people. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest, though, right? How can you lead black people and black people don't even see you? I see you on TV. I mean, I hear you talking black, but you're not really in the confines of blackness. Not like that, because black people don't respect you like that. You know what I'm saying? It's okay.
Isn't that a part, though, of the blackness that we know, at least here in America, that you can show up and be a leader and nobody even know who the hell you are? You can't do that in no other group.
Man, listen.
You cannot. Somebody will knock on your door and you will be like, dude, but you only can do that with black people, because when you don't have identity, when you don't have an identifiable culture, that's what you get. You get people saying, I'm your leader now.
Yeah.
We don't even say, nigga, who is you? Because back in the day, we say, who the hell is this clown? We don't do that no more. We're like, well, because also, Barry, I think the beauty of the upheaval between the black man and the black woman, that we got to look at where that comes from. I don't think it's no diabolical plan. Give me a break with that bullshit. Something happened.
You don't think it's a diabolical plan by the white man?
I don't. I think he has a lot of diabolical plans. It only works if we buy into it. How do you buy into stuff? Because something must be wrong in your house. The white man did not go into Africa. We was all over there being happy, and he just knocked some of us in the head and took us. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
Negroes that gave Negroes up.
Yeah, but there's origins. There's origins of it. If I don't like you, Barry, it's gonna be easy for somebody to come in and be like, "Let me tell you about this nigga named Barry," and boop, boop, boop. But if you are not my brother, you know, and I really ain't feeling you anyway, because I have some kind of distrust for you in my heart, that's how that person gets to slide in. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. So I know we want to, some of us want to make the white man almighty and powerful. This fool can't do shit. You ever see a person who refuses to snitch? And we be up there like, I snitch. Well, that ain't his code. when you take an oath for something, you take an oath, and you ain't snitching. But if you got issues in your house, it's gonna be easy for me to divide you. Shit, the white man ain't even gotta do shit. Half the time we be like, I don't like that nigga's shoes. I don't like the way that nigga talk. Who that nigga think he is? And shit, that should be me up on that TV. That should be me speaking at the march, not this bitch nigga. That's how we do. So there ain't no white man. That's you. That's your internal issue in your brain.
We know that.
All you. So stop giving this nigga free credit. White man don't need no more free credit at all. He don't need none. But we give him free credit all the time.
Oh.
This nigga gets credit he don't even know about. He like, damn, I did that shit too. Damn. I didn't know I was that powerful.
That nigga, hey, and that's why at the end of the day, like I said, we know the root. We know the root.
Yeah.
But we will no longer. And I go to this simple analogy. You see shit on the road. What you gonna do? Jump over the shit, walk around the shit, or walk through the shit? I'm not gonna jump over because I might slip. I might not jump high enough. I'm gonna walk right around the shit, right? But I know there's shit. And I'm not going to pick up the shit. You know what I'm saying? And I think some people try to pick up the shit and be like, well, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, you trying to pick up shit without gloves. And I think, sis, that when you talk about accountability, responsibility, you talk about transparency, you talk about integrity, you talk about these vital things that I don't think that we align ourselves enough with in our community. I think that it does create a shitstorm. It does create, these ideas of jealousy and envy, right? As some folks will call it hate. But it's really an envious heart that a lot of Black people have for Black people because we've been duped with so less, wanting to get so much more and feeling that I got to destroy my brother and my sister just to get on top. Just before we got on the show, sis, I was just, because I'm just going through, because, I'm on Facebook jail, but I'm still checking in certain things. And something just hit, and I was watching this Love and Hip Hop in Miami. And I was just looking at this shit like, some niggas watch this shit like a 24-hour circle, right? It's just like constant, repetitive drama. And I was just watching it. And then, of course, I watched one. I wanted to see the next clip. Because you get so entangled with it, right? And then it just becomes like, oh, this is entertaining. But what the entertainment part of it that folks really don't understand, it's creating things in your mind for you to act and behave like as well. So that synergy that negativity is giving you, right? It's giving you radiation, and it's giving you thoughts, and also creating this picture that this is how Black people act. Right? And this is how we're supposed to react. Where I just had a heated conversation with an individual, and I had a heated conversation that folks thought was going to go left. It stayed right. Because even though this person was losing it, I was still in my place of calm, serenity, energy that was positive, and brought that person right back in the place where they needed to be. And we had a good conversation because I didn't decide to go take it to the next level. And this was just the other day, right? This was just yesterday, matter of fact. So I think that when you're in touch with yourself, it helps move and navigate. What's sister say?
Yeah, we just out of touch with our hearts. We need to
rule ourselves, right? Right. Yeah. No empathy, compassion, and love towards one another. And and those components, empathy, compassion, love, we got to bring those things back. We have to bring empathy, compassion, and love, get rid of jealousy, get rid of envy, get rid of the hate. Like, these are the things that we have to change. And I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, sis.
We got to bring some justice back, too. Because to have somebody have empathy for somebody who murders somebody, that's crazy. To have empathy for somebody who molests people, that's crazy. No, we got to have some justice. Because I think all of that will come if we protect each other.
What's that justice look like, though, sis?
Yeah, shit.
No, you know what I'm saying?
Because I feel like if you murder somebody, maybe your ass got to go. I don't know. I don't know if you can ever redeem yourself from murdering somebody. See, that tells you right there how much we really love each other. The fact that we have black women being murdered at the all-time high, or molestation and rape, or missing, and then we talking about loving each other, but yet we don't value each other. So how do you then balance all? That's the beautiful part.
I think next show, so you can do your homework, even though I know. I think we should just dive in on black femicide, because I'm just confused.
Barry, so like, in September alone, 96 black women were murdered in September.
That's crazy though.
In September alone, and most of them were shot in the face. By the way,
that's what I'm saying though. It's like, where are we at as men? Like, you know what I'm saying? We've lost our sense of identity to where, okay, she may not want to be with me. Okay, she may do something that I don't like. Yeah, all right. Like, well, okay, you know what I'm saying? Shit happens. Do we kill? Is that what we doing?
I don't know. I'm just saying, and I agree with the sister say, I do believe in empathy. I believe in compassion, all of that. But I also think we have gone overboard on that. Because if you don't have justice, if you don't have some kind of way of making things be in alignment, you'll have all the feel-good shit over here, all hell over here. How do we bring balance? Because right now the shit look like this. How do we bring? There was a time if you murdered somebody, you would be dealt with on the spot. That's why the shit was called the Wild West. You see what I'm saying? That's why in the drug game, if you did some fucked up shit, the penalty was death. You mean to tell me the only time we get to be righteous is when we're doing illegal shit? We can't hear that when we're doing righteous shit? Like,
sis, but hold up. Your face is hella funny.
Because I really struggle with that, Barry. I struggle with that shit. I struggle with that.
Yes, but here's the thing. But you don't think that a young man, 14 years old, or young woman, 14, 15, if they kill somebody, you think that right then and there it's a wrap?
I think they should be fertilizer. But that's just me. Unless it was self-defense. That's a little different story.
So you don't
people drive by killing people, nigga. Like, come on. You're gonna have to come back in the next life and work that shit out. Now here's the thing, because I'm a woman. I'm a woman. I have a wound. I have the sacred portal. Don't get it twisted. But what I'm saying to you is like, come on. You can't take a life and then act like we're gonna let you sit in jail. No, I say you come back and try the shit again. Because I think if the penalty is high, people won't do shit like that. See, I feel like if George Zimmerman had walked up on Trayvon and Trayvon had a pistol, the nigga would have shitted himself. Because he could already beat his ass by with his own hands. But when you got a gun and then your predator got a gun, this is a different fucking fight. It's a different fight. See, and we don't want to talk about that because that's when you want that real, I'm a human being shit for real. But I think all this senseless killing, we need to have more fertilizer. You have to come back and get that shit right. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. I think it has everything.
You know what? I think that
to do with how people value you. Because you don't go kill white women like that. You don't go kill white men like that. You don't go fuck no other race like that. You kill all of them every day.
I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna tell you like this. If it was white women getting killed like this, and trust me, white women are getting killed.
No, they are.
If they were getting killed like this at this rate in certain communities, trust me when I tell you that this would be a story upon stories. To be honest with you, I am in the part of Negroes are very sensitive and egotistical and really are not in touch with their emotions when they lose it off the deep end. And that's not their excuse, but that's just the palette that I'm believing that they're coming from, that they're lost without power, and that they're not ready to take that wave of that woman leaving and being successful without them. Because I don't understand being with women that I've been with, and I understand about heartbreak, but to take a gun, I'm confused by the shit.
My thing is, but the white man shoots you in the ass, throws you over the fucking fence, body slams you, sodomize you with a pipe stick, and you don't fucking lose to bust his ass. You don't lose him to go shoot him in the face. Get the fuck out of here.
It's crazy.
Get out of here. I'm just saying, get out of here. And so for me to ask the victim who's now dead to have empathy, that's fucking retarded. That's some real retarded shit. I'm just gonna say that's my East Coast coming out. That's some real doo-doo shit right there. That don't make no sense. And then you wonder why some of us are afraid of each other. Because here's the sad part, Barry. As much as we talk about loving black people, if you got murdered today by a black man, we wouldn't even give a fuck. and all the things you did to help our community, we're gonna be like, well, it's white supremacy. Don't nobody want to hear that shit when they loved one laying there dead on some bullshit. And the only time y'all value motherfuckers when a white cop kills them. Now y'all upset, but when we kill each other, it's crickets out this motherfucker. Barry, I can't. I gotta get the fuck out of here. I gotta go. I gotta go, Barry. I gotta go. Don't get me started.
Oh,
I gotta bring it down. I gotta go watch
yeah. Listen. Yo, fam. Hey, Earth Mama Network. Y'all, we need y'all to like, share, subscribe, YouTube, Facebook. Also, to Just Being Honest, connecting with the Black experience. You see the Cash App we just put up there. We'll be on next week. We're hoping that Black femicide. Let's get deep into that. Let's dive in.
Cases for you, Barry. We could discuss some of these cases. Shit.
That shit is crazy, Queen. I don't.
96 Black women, and I ain't heard none of these revolutionary ass Black people, male or female, talk about this shit. I heard very little. There's these little voices out there, but we see the shit and scroll past the shit, or got an excuse. Oh, somehow it's always gonna come back to the woman. Miss me.
But here's the thing about it.
Out of here.
Here's the thing about it. Certain Black women will say protect Black women, but put themselves in harm's way. So how can I protect Black women when you want to be in front of the bullet? You get what I'm talking about? Like, that's my issue. And a lot of these people, because you know me and myself as being one of the people that push that whole thing, because I'm on it about that Black. Because a nigga, you are not gonna kill my daughters. I'm gonna come kill one of you niggas. Bottom line.
We will kill you over 50 Cent, but not the portal of life. We won't kill you.
Bottom line. Niggas gotta know about how I'm serious about it. My kids, my crop, it's a no-go. You ain't gotta worry about
fertilizer.
You ain't gotta worry about the rest of it.
I'm saying fertilizer. Fuck the dumb shit. I don't have time to go in your head. First of all, I can't bring the life back that you took. So I don't know how you equate a person's life with your life after you take their life, because you didn't bring the life in, first of all. So you can't bring the life back. Fuck, you get to walk around here living, breathing, shitting, farting. You can do all of that shit. Have children and everything. You done cut this person's life short, made their children parentless most times, because it's usually the mate. So now your kids don't have you and they don't have her. Fuck out of here. We got to do a better job of, we're talking about accountability. Sometimes accountability look like you going back to the dirt. I'm sorry. How you gonna put a value on somebody's life? Shooting people and shit, and in the face.
But here's the thing about it. It's not only shooting. These niggas is doing worse shit.
I know. I'm just saying, Barry. I'm just saying. There's just something about that just it hurts my heart. And then you belong to a community of conscious motherfuckers. At least you know. Well, it's white supremacy. And shut the fuck up.
It's funny, but Nick, listen. This is what we have. Today was this. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Queen. We need to exact justice against folks in our community committed heinous crimes. I'm all in, but niggas ain't. Because if you know what's gonna happen when Bill Cosby gets out, if R. Kelly gets out, them niggas is gonna be celebrating.
R. Kelly gonna be his ass off.
Tory Lanez shot Megan. The only reason why niggas still decided, you know what niggas said? When his album came out, they're like, well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, he might have shot Megan Thee Stallion, but Tory Lanez's album is fire. It's like, do you niggas still support this Negro? Like, okay, here's the bottom line. The Negro didn't kill Megan Thee Stallion, so at the end of the day, people don't feel bad. But if Megan Thee Stallion had got killed, let's say that gunshot.
This shit.
Hold on a second. No, they would have been more of an uproar because he's a celebrity. What would have happened if the bullet went through her arteries or whatever the fuck and killed her? It would be some real shit. But my thing is, there should be never a moment in time we get put in a position have to hurt or try to hurt someone we allegedly care about. Walk the fuck away. Walk away.
I gotta wrap this up, dude. I'm gonna need to
next week, y'all. Just being honest.
30 next week.
Feeling and sharing. Black femicide next week. It's going down. Peace, family.
Peace, fam. go.